Hello boys. This video is to explain the memo of task 6.14. The first transaction was on the 1st of April 2007. It said, be hopeful is 3 months overdue, charge him interest at 16% per annum, and your opening balance was actually given to you there. So first thing that you need to do is you need to go and calculate that interest by saying 3,250 multiplied by the interest rate, which was 16%, multiplied by the time period, which was 3 months. Gives you an interest of 130 Rand. Okay, this will be recorded in the general journal. The account that is debited is the debtors control account because he owes us more money. Account credited is interest on overdue account, which is an income account, and you say interest charged on overdue account at 16% per annum for 3 months. Then I quickly want to show you how it will affect Be Hopeful's debtors ledger account. Okay, so the account rendered or the balance was given to us is 3,250. Now when we charged interest, we will actually increase his account by 130. Okay, so remember with the general journal transactions, we write the journal narration in the details column. It will go to the debit column because it increases his account. And this value is calculated by adding that 130 to the 3,250. The next transaction took place on the 3rd. It said stationery costing 323 Rand was purchased and paid for by check. It was correctly recorded in the CPJ, but the person responsible for posting recorded this in the Consumable Stores account. The error must be corrected. Okay, so this is a lot of information, but what it actually means is that we debited Consumable Stores where we should have debited stationery. And this error is corrected in the general journal. Okay, so the account that must be debited is stationery. This is journal voucher number 2. The account that was incorrectly debited that must now be credited is Consumable Stores. Both of them are owner's equity expense accounts in the nominal section, and you just say correction of error. The next transaction says the owner, Mr. W. Falapi, made the following withdrawals, and you would have noticed that I've only highlighted the first 2. He withdrew stock with a cost of 600 Rand and consumables with a cost of 300 Rand. So in the general journal, it will look like this. Drawings will be our collective debit. You would have noticed that I didn't write the value here yet. I'm going to calculate it as we record the 2 credits. Okay, the owner withdrew trading stock of 600 Rand. Remember, we always use the cost price, and he withdrew Consumable Stores of 300 Rand. And now when you add these 2 together, both of them will affect drawings on the debit side. So we say the total effect on drawings on the debit side is 900 Rand. And then you say items taken for personal use as the journal narration. Then you would see that the owner also withdrew a check for 500 Rand to pay for his daughter's ballet classes. Okay, so this will now be recorded in this table given for transactions that does not affect the general journal because it will go to the CPJ. Okay, so the date is the 8th, it's in the CPJ, drawings is debited, bank is credited, 500 Rand. Then on the 12th, stock was sold on credit for 800 Rand to V. Hopeful, but this amount was incorrectly charged to the account of B. Hopeful. Okay, so we don't focus on the fact that the stock is being sold. We focus on the fact that there was an error. We debited B. Hopeful where we should have debited V. Hopeful. Okay, so this must be corrected in the general journal. Okay, the account that must be debited is V. Hopeful. The account that must be credited is B. Hopeful because he didn't buy from us. He was incorrectly debited, and you just say correction of error. Both of them will affect debtors control. Remember that. Then I quickly want to show you what the effect would be on their debtors ledger accounts. Okay, so let's look at Be Hopeful first. In Be Hopeful's account, you would just say correction of error, and he was actually credited, so his account decreases with 800 Rand. And this amount is calculated by saying 3,380 minus 800 gives you 2,580. Then if you look at V Hupeful, his account rendered or his opening balance was given to us. Then on the 12th, you will also say correction of error, but now his account will be debited by that 800 Rand. So you would update his balance by saying 4,320 plus 800 gives you 5,120. The next transaction on the 13th said goods returned by B Hopeful as per credit notes for 60 Rand was incorrectly posted to the account of V Hopeful. Okay, so now we incorrectly credited, because remember, if a debtor returns goods, we credit his account. So we incorrectly credited V Hopeful, where we should have credited B Hopeful. This is done in the general journal. So go and debit V Hopeful because he was incorrectly credited. He didn't send the stock back. Go and debit B Hopeful. No, credit B Hopeful, because he actually sent the stock back, and you say correction of error. And now let's go and look at how it affects the debtor's ledger. In B Hopeful's account, you have to go and credit his account with the correction of that error with 60 Rand. So now you say 2,580 minus 60 gives you 2,520. And in V Hopeful's account, you have to go and debit his account with that 60 Rand, saying 5,120 plus 60 Rand is a new amount of 5,180. On the 14th, a debtor, Miss Wishful, owing 500 Rand was declared insolvent. We received 20 cents in the Rand from her estate. First, we have to go and record the value that we actually received from her in the CRJ, and then the rest must be written off in the general journal. And we first have to calculate the amount that we will actually receive from her. 20 cents in the Rand, in other words, 20 over 100, multiplied by the value that she owed us, 500 Rand, equals 100 Rand. So we actually received 100 Rand from her. This will be recorded in the CRJ. Bank will increase, debtors control will decrease with 100 Rand. Then the rest, the other 400 Rand, must be written off in the general journal. So it's journal voucher number 6 on the 14th. Bad debts is an expense. That's debited. The debtors control account of Miss Wishful is credited, and you say 80 cents in the Rand of debtors account written off. Then the next transaction on the 17th said we received a check from B Hopeful in full settlement of his account to date. A 5% discount was allowed. In the debtors ledger, you will see that at the moment B Hopeful owes us 2,520. Okay, so let's go and calculate how much he will actually pay us and how much discount will be allowed to him. He pays us 95% of the value and we give him 5% discount. So 2,520 multiplied by 95% is 2,394 Rand. That is the amount that he will actually pay us in the CRJ. Okay, so we will say bank will be debited, debtors control will be credited with 2,394. The difference, the other 5%, okay, so you can just say 2,520 minus 2,394, that 126 Rand will be allowed as discount, also in the CRJ. So discount allowed will be debited, debtors control will be credited with 126 Rand. This must also be recorded in his debtors ledger account. So first we deal with the amount that we actually received from him. We would have issued a duplicate receipt and it would credit his account, stating that he only owes us 126 Rand. And then we actually allowed that 126 Rand as discount. So at the end of the day, on the 17th, Be Hopeful owes us nothing. The next transaction on the 18th said we bought a new computer monitor for 1,999 Rand, and we paid High-Tech Computers by check. Straightforward CPJ transaction, so it will go to that table. Okay, we will debit equipment and credit bank with 1,999 Rand. Next transaction, spares for servicing the vehicle costing 980 was erroneously charged to the vehicle's account. In the general journal, we will go and debit repairs, we will credit vehicles, and we will say correction of error. The next transaction on the 21st said stock sold on credit to M. Magan, whatever, for 4,320 Rand. The markup on cost is 50%. Okay, this is a normal DJ transaction. So you will go to this table. The selling price will be recorded in debtors control and in sales. And then you have to calculate the cost price using that markup percentage as 2,880 Rand. And this goes to cost of sales and trading stock. Normal DJ transaction. Then the next transaction on the 24th said received a notification from the bank that the check received from B Hopeful had been dishonored due to insufficient funds. Now the only check that we have received from B Hopeful is this one on the 17th. Okay, and we recorded it in the CRJ. It had 5% discount that was allowed on it. So the first thing that we need to do is we have to go and reverse the part that B Hopeful actually paid us in the CPJ. Okay, so in the CPJ, we will go and reverse the part that we actually received from B Hopeful, that 2,394 Rand. To reverse discount on an RD check, you do it in the general journal. You go and debit debtors control, the debtor owes us again. We are taking away the discount from him. We go and credit discount allowed because we're actually reversing that expense, and we say discount cancelled on an RD check. Then we must remember to also take it to the debtor's ledger account of B Hopeful. Okay, so you will say bank statement RD check in the CPJ. The value that he actually paid us is now reversed. Okay, so he owes us 2,394 Rand. And then the discount was also cancelled in the general journal, saying that he owes us 2,520 Rand again. You would see that this is just a reversal of this. The next transaction on the 25th said the owner, Mr. Falapi, was unhappy with some of the stock he had taken for his own use. He returned 200 Rand. Okay, so this will go to the general journal. When he returns stock, our trading stock will increase again on the debit side. Drawings will decrease on the credit side because he didn't actually withdrew the stock anymore, and you just say owner returned stock. The next transaction was on the 26th. Received a check from V Hopeful for 2,500 Rand. A discount of 120 Rand was allowed. Okay, so luckily for us, we don't have to do any calculations. This is just a normal CRJ transaction. Okay, so we would say on the 26th, we received 2,500 Rand from V Hopeful, and the discount that was allowed was 120 Rand. And if you go and look at the debtors ledger, we issued a duplicate receipt to V Hopeful with 2,500 Rand, and we allowed discount of 120 Rand, bringing his account to 2,560 Rand. The next transaction on the 27th said the overdue account of J. Hapford was charged 90 Rand interest. This was incorrectly posted to V Hopeful. Okay, so now we incorrectly debited V Hopeful with some interest where we should have debited J. Hapford. To correct this, you go to the general journal. You go and debit J. Hapford, credit V. Hopeful. Both of them affect the debtors control account. You say correction of error, and remember to go and record this in V. Hopeful's debtors ledger account. Okay, so you will just say correction of error, and you go and credit his account, bringing the total value that he owes us at the end of the month to 2,470 Rand. And then the last transaction says a discount of 1,170 Rand, which was received from B Badger Wholesalers, was incorrectly entered in the CPJ as 1,070. So to correct this error, we must go in debit creditors control because we received more discount than we thought. Okay, and we must go in credit discount received, which is an owner's equity income account because we received more discount than we thought or than we originally recorded. And you say error corrected or correction of error, it doesn't really matter either way. And then right at the end, remember to go and total your debtors control and creditors control columns. Okay, and then the last thing, I'm quickly going to run through this, that they wanted you to do is they wanted you to record or to post to the stationery and consumable stores accounts. Both of them are expenses that increase on the debit side, decrease on the credit side. So let's look at stationery first. The opening balance was given to you as 490. Remember, it's total brought forward because it's in the nominal account section. Then on the 3rd, we debited stationery in the general journal. Okay, and the contra account was consumable stores. So you write that in there and then you just total stationery as 813 Rand. Consumable stores is a little bit more tricky. Okay, so the opening balance was given to you. And remember to write total brought forward as 1,234 Rand. Then on the 3rd, we debited stationery, but we actually credited consumable stores. Okay, and the contra account was stationery in the general journal. And then remember, there was also the drawings of consumable stores on the 8th. Okay, so it's drawings is the contra account, 300 Rand. But now we've got entries on both sides of this nominal account. So we actually change it because it has balance sheet characteristics. We now treat it as a balance sheet account. So we have to go and do the balancing. Okay, so you have to say this side is the biggest side. So you write the total in the double lines on both sides. Then you say 1,234 minus 300 minus 323. So you get the difference here. And that will be your balance CD of 611 Rand. I just want to draw your attention to this. You have to write a 30 year because we actually balance on the 30th and the last transaction posted was not on the 30th. Okay, so, and then at the end, you have to remember to bring your balance down to the 1st of May on the debit side again.